Trigger warning. I'm going to talk about calves. All right, so check out my latest article for Animal Pack. It's all about the musculature of the lower legs, i.e. the calves, the most misunderstood muscle group in the body. For anyone who's been in the iron game long enough, you'll kind of know about this, the misconception a lot of people make when they see someone in shorts or whatever that has small calves, and they make the assumption that this person skips leg day or doesn't train legs or something like that, or the more general thing, oh, they don't train hard, or any kind of negative aspersion like that. People that say that, it's unfortunate because some very basic observations will kind of show the error in their ways. There's lots of people who have very large calves who never trained a day in their lives, and don't do a whole lot of calf specific other things, either hiking or bike riding. And there's many high level physique competitors. I mean, the people with the best muscular development on the planet with small calves still. So that's kind of, the proof is right there. I mean, when there's Mr. Olympias and folks placing at the Mr. Olympia, where literally every other muscle group on them is developed to the extreme, their profession, their livelihood depends on it, and their calves are small. If you think that's because they're not trying hard, or they're not working hard, or they don't know how to train their calves, or some other nonsense like that, well, I've got some beachfront property in Kansas I'd like to sell you. DM me for that. So so the underlying truth when it comes to calves is that they're far more genetically determined than any other muscle group. And another really unfortunate misconception that people make when they hear that is they just think, well, that just means we have to give up. That means that there's no hope for anything. And that's not true either. Just because we are acknowledging the truth that genetics are a major component in calves, they're a major component in every muscle group, but far more significant when it comes to the lower legs. Just because we're acknowledging that truth doesn't mean we're not also acknowledging that progress can be made, and hard work over time can yield results there. So, but it's just important to be realistic. All right, so I talk about this in my article, and I hope you find some useful aspects in it. Calves are different in that they tend to have a lot more slow twitch fibers, the ratio of slow twitch to fast twitch, rather than other muscle groups. And this makes sense evolutionarily speaking, as we evolved largely walking around on our feet, and so our calves had to be able to just sustain that for a very long period of time, more so than really any other muscle group. The general rule of thumb with muscles that have more slow twitch to fast twitch fibers is that they need more repetitions. Also, one of the principal concepts when it comes to hypertrophy, i.e. growing muscle, is time under tension, TUT. A lot of people talk about the 40 to 60 second window for time under tension as being optimal. There's various studies on it, but I think it's why the 6 to 8 or 8 to 12 repetition range is generally the kind of the bread and butter of muscle building for most muscle groups. When you break it down with average tempo of the repetitions and the average range of motion, that number of repetitions yields a good time under tension. With calves, since all you're doing is moving your foot like this, it's a much shorter range of motion. So you differentiate that from, say, a squat where you're lowering your entire body down. It's a much longer range of motion. In other words, one repetition in a squat is going to take a lot more time than one repetition in any calf movement, whether it's seated, standing, donkey, any of that. So with that, if we're going to get the same amount of time under tension, you have to do more repetitions with the calf exercises, or you have to slow down the tempo of the repetitions. And I'm a fan of both. When I train calves, I'm rarely doing less than 12 reps per set, and oftentimes doing 20 to 25 reps per set. But also slowing down is very important, especially at the bottom. If you look at the lower leg, you'll see the Achilles tendon, massive tendon, very powerful stretch reflex there. And that's why you can see a lot of people train their calves wrong, where they're just bouncing up and down on like the seated calf. They're utilizing that stretch reflex to get far more reps or to do far more weight than they could do otherwise. And they're shortchanging themselves as far as like training the muscle. So for that, I mean, a general rule of thumb is it takes roughly 2 seconds for the stretch reflex to subside. So, when you hit the bottom of any calf movement, wait 2 seconds, and then raise the weight. Now I also like to slow down the eccentric portion, the lowering portion as well, so that helps you slow down into the stretch and then so on. So those are just a few tips. Check out the article. I'll talk more in depth about that. I hope you enjoy it. So for all the guys out there like myself with proportionally smaller calves, I hope this gives you a little bit of solace, a little bit of comfort. And for the haters, the people who look at small calves and think that indicates anything other than the mom and dad that the person has, i.e. the genetic lineage, hopefully that puts all those folks in check. The key is just to think a little bit, just to use our noggins, look around, think of the people we've seen in the gym, outside the gym, and that'll help inform us the truth of these matters. All right, take care.